So some of you might have seen me make a few lines yesterday with the part. So just a brief kind of a help on how to make this thing. I started out by drawing some of the straight lines, but then I decided that the best thing to do would be to start by making a box that would hold the part inside that were bounded by A and B, right? And they're all going to be different. In this particular case, it said that A was 81 and B was 57. So I went ahead and did 81 and 57 on a box, and notice that the lines are dashed, meaning that it is only for reference. Then what I did is I started making some of the circular parts that are dimensioned in here, and so went ahead and did that. So I have got 19, I've got the 29, which happens at a very particular point. It is 19 in here, and then another one with our 5, and I put those in, and then I started to go ahead and make the other ones. So I started by doing this 29 on the far right, and also for 29 on this side. Then I can start kind of putting other points down, right? So you'll notice that the diagonal line over here starts at 24 down. So if I can put a point, and points don't really matter where you put them, but I can go ahead and put a point on the edge of the part, since that's where things are, that's as far as it goes. And I'm going to dimension it. I'm going to dimension it from here to here, and it's supposed to be 24, so I'll go ahead and say 24. So now I know that that point is going to be able to take me from here to here, and that should be correct. So now what that also does is it sets me up for the next one. I'm going to put another point in here and dimension it with 5 from the top. So I go 1, 2, and I'm going to drag it out here, and that's 5 from the top. So now I can go ahead and make this line connect to that line, connect to that line. It's okay if I overlap my dashed center line, because it's only for construction, it's only for reference purposes. So I've got my right side kind of set up pretty well. You'll notice that this particular arc and this one here, they don't really look alike. And there's something that there's this little symbol on all of the arches. So there's 1, there's 2, and actually there's only 2. This little circle with a line, it means that you have what is called a tangent relationship. So that means that I need to select this, hit Control, select this other one, and tell it that I want them to be tangent to each other, so you get kind of this smooth curve. But what it also tells me is that I need this one and this one to be tangent to each other. So Control, select each one of those, and then hit tangent for the relation. So now you'll notice that it kind of brought me up, and I have this smooth kind of thing. You'll also notice, wait a minute, this thing doesn't really look like the part exactly. Well, that's because this is only for reference. It is a generic representation of what the part is supposed to look like, because everyone is going to have a slightly different from part, right? Which kind of sucks. But so now let's go ahead and make some additional changes. We have a 19 in here. So let's go back to Smart Dimension, and I've got a 19 that goes from the top to the bottom, and let's make that lower, so that helps. And so that means, oh, this, I've got that 29, and I've got my radius, I've got the 19. So let's go to the top, okay? And I've got this line and this line, which are also supposed to be tangent. So I'm going to exit my dimension tool, and I'm going to select them and click tangent, and that's good. So now I notice that there should be a 10-degree angle between a straight line and this. Right? It also doesn't tell me how long it is supposed to be. So I'm going to kind of have to guess my way through this. So, what do I do first? Well, I've established this 19, so I know that this is where it's supposed to be. Everything here is tangential, everything is good. And the next thing I want to kind of figure out is how long this line is going to be. Well, I don't know yet, but I do know that the part is only going to go this far. So I can draw this far end. You'll also notice that I've got this 7 here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a point up here. I'm just going to put a point here, and then I'm going to dimension it from that point to here, and that is going to be 7. All right. So what that is going to allow me to do is then draw this other line, and I'm going to move this. I'm going to drag it over. It doesn't have to be anywhere in particular just yet. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit and draw this 45-degree line. So I'm going to go from this point, and I'm going to go here. It doesn't matter exactly where right now, so I'm going to go ahead and just put it down. And I need to tell it that it needs to be 45 degrees from the vertical. So I select that, and I'm going to put that as 45, and that is good. Now you'll notice though it is not touching, so now I can kind of drag this guy over here, and I can drag, actually what I can do is I can click on both of these, click on one, control, click the other, and do merge, and all of a sudden they are together. So now I'm getting closer and closer. But before I do anything else, you'll notice that I made my original bounding box 57, but I need to lock the actual parts at 57, right? So right now that says 57, but that's the dashed line. If anything, I can delete that dimension, and I'm going to make sure that this thing here is locked at 57. So I'm going to go ahead and put in 57, and that should be good. The other thing I need to do on this side is make this 45 degrees. So I'm going to select this and select that and make that 45 degrees. Cool. So now whenever I make change anywhere else on the part, it's not going to take it up. All right, so let's see what else we need to do. I do notice that this thing, it looks a bit low, right? I can drag it up a little bit higher, and I don't know why this guy went all the way out this way. So I need to, so that line went nuts. Okay. All right, so that looks a little bit better. This line is the one that needs to connect to here. All right, so let's continue. I'm going to take this line. I'm going to dimension it from here to here. Oops, sorry about that. I need to go from here. Why isn't this working? Okay, from here to here, and that should be 32, which is over here on the left. So 32, and that's didn't throw anything else off, so that's good. And we can click OK. So now what I can do is connect this, hit the control key, and do merge. Oh, look at that. That looks pretty cool. So I can move on now to try and find out. So the length, the distance between here and here is supposed to be 14. All right, and we did that. We have the distance. So now we have this other diagonal line that is going to be going between this one and this line over here, and it is supposed to be 45 degrees as well. So we can select it, get that one, select, oh, go to Smart Dimension, select this, and put that at 45 degrees. And this is almost kind of finishing itself for us. Now we have one last line, and that's going to be this one connecting this one. Oops, I didn't actually connect it. So I need to go, if I want to connect them, I want it to be coincident. All right, so I have myself the part. It looks pretty darn good. I've got, let me double check to make sure that I've got all of my dimensions correct. It looks like I do. I've got my tangent relation. Remember this little circle symbol, and here it is as well. Here it is as well, and here it is 1/3 time. So let's do the circle. For the circle, it is 14 from the left and 14 from the bottom. I'm going to start by just putting in a point, and then I can Smart Dimension that point. So it is from here to here is 14, and then from here to here is 14 as well. So now I can go ahead and draw my circle, and it's 14 millimeters in diameter. So when I go ahead and do this, I can put in a 7 for the radius. It looks like we're done. So I click OK. Looks good. And I can go back and click on the sketch, and let's go to features. Before I do that, I want to double check what was C. C is 43, and C is the thickness or the size of our extrusion, right? So we'll go to features, extrude boss base, and we're going to put in 43, and we have ourselves our part. Cool. So if all things went well, now it tells me build the part, and it says what is the overall mass of the part. Okay, well, first of all, we need to pick the material. You'll notice up here that the material is not specified. So I need to right click, edit material, and it'll give me a whole list of things. Now this is tells me that it is steel, AISI 1020 steel. Okay, so let's look for 1020 steel. I've got alloy steel. Let's see, what do I have? 1020. I have 1023 carbon steel. That's not 1020. Oh, there it is. AISI 1020. So I apply that. Oh, before I do that, it tells me that, let's see, just double check. The density is 0.0079 grams per cubic millimeter. Mass density 79. Yep, so that looks good. And I apply, close. So now I know that this material is steel. How do I answer this question? What is the overall mass of the part? So now we go to evaluate, and we go to mass properties. And I'm going to double check. What is mass? It says mass right here, 1050.32. And according to this, the closest thing that I have is 1028.33. So there is some discrepancy here, but how close is this answer. So if I you can't see me here, but I'm going to pull up my calculator on my phone, and I'm going to divide 1028. I'm not going to worry about the 0.33 yet. So 1028 divided by 1050. Okay, so divided by 1050. Then I multiply it by 100, and I get 98. So I'm within 2%. So I'd say that this is pretty darn close. I say that the answer is going to be A. Now let's go back. Let's go to the answers. Looks like the answer is supposed to be D, 939. So something was wrong. So I'm going back to the part and figure out what is wrong. Right? It looks like all of my dimensions were correct, and I just found something. You'll notice that this radius here says 29. I didn't realize, I guess, I was so eager to finish this, that this thing is really wide compared to this one. Well, the radius is off of this line, and right now I have it kind of in the middle of nowhere. So if I move this, if I go back to editing my sketch and I select that dot and I control select that line and I go to coincident, it moves it over. Look at that. It now looks almost exactly like the example, right? So we go back to mass properties, and the mass is 942, and the answer for this was supposed to be 939.5. So we are really, really right on it, and that was the mistake. So one small mistake could have totally thrown me off. All right, so give it a shot. Stop, pause, review this if you need to. Remember that once you have your part, you can always edit the sketch by right-clicking Edit Sketch, and you get everything back that way. Or you can either go as far as deleting the boss feature, and then you're back to just the sketch where you can go ahead and edit that. All right, and I can go right here and back to where we had it before. All right, good luck. Let me know if you have any questions.